On. All right. All right. Welcome to Meet Tina here. I would like to welcome everyone who's listening in. Welcome to this channel. This channel is all about mind, body, and soul. And today I'm very delighted to have Dr. Gyurina here to talk to us. Dr. Gyurina is a chiropractor in New Jersey, correct?
That's right. Correct.
Okay. But the whole session, I'm not going to call him Dr. Gyurina because I knew him since 2014. We met in Thailand as a friend. Well, we went at meetup. Is that how we met?
We met at meetup for a class of some sort.
Right. I started a meetup in Thailand when I was there for 7 months, and that's how we met. And as a hypnotherapist, I also hypnotized him. And so that's how we met, and we kept in touch throughout these years, which is amazing that we can keep a long distance friendship for such a long time. And thanks to this technology we have in the age of Aquarius. Anyway, the reason I say that because Dr. Gyurina also, besides being a professional chiropractor in New Jersey successfully, he also very interested in all this energy work, frequency work, and astrology. But quickly, I'm going to have Kevin. I'm going to call you Kevin now because that's how we call each other. I call you all the time. I'm going to have Kevin introduce himself.
Well, thank you, Tina. I appreciate the warm welcome, and I really love being on your show here tonight. And yes, 7 years ago, we met in Thailand, and I was living there. I had decided to give up practice here in the States and move to Thailand and work there and live my life as an adventure, because that's what I got to learn as I studied things beyond the basic chiropractic training. Yes, I got my doctorate degree in 2006. Grew up here in New Jersey, played college football, was into every sports, played a lot of track and field, and just love being outside. But once I got my doctorate, I moved back to the Philadelphia area, and I started working for another gentleman. And that's why I study a lot of spinal and joint mechanics, a lot of the physical structure of the body. But in that work, getting more and more depth of how the brain is involved with that. And then from that work, that opened up to the emotional realm, the nutritional realm, of course, the fitness realm. But the emotional realm really branched me out into the energy world, because this is where, as above, so below, our thoughts produce our reality. Our subconscious reality is played out in our life. And this is the nuance that I started to really get into 2009, 10, and then it really exploded at 11 and 12. And from there, this is where my studies now of astrology and all the esoteric realms of the human body and life, I can see this transformation that humanity began, not just the common beliefs of the end of the world or anything like that. But 2012 really was a major shift for humanity, and it really began the next phase of that 2020. And boy, we are here now. And since the most recent the shifts I've grown into has become certified what's called Neuro-Emotional Technique, which is a phenomenal way to help stress get out of the brain or be processed for the brain, so the body, so the mind, so anyone can live a life in greater balance, greater harmony. And that's essentially my main focus.
So you're going to have to define that word. Can you repeat that word again, Kevin?
Neuro-Emotional Technique.
Okay, so you're going to have to share with us today. What is this all about?
Well, it has to do with the phenomena that, like the lie detector test, the human body has energy that is, when something is stated that's congruent, the body's strong, the body's robust, the body it indicates that it's congruent. And then when there's a statement, a thought, a memory that's non-congruent or has chaos in it from some perception, some experience, then the body demonstrates a positive indicator test. And then we know that the symptom that is being investigated is at least in part, rooted in thinking, whether subconscious or conscious, or perhaps we're finding out some people call karmic, or just other realms of what it is to be a human being.
No, if some people believe in karma, definitely. So how does it work? Can a person like myself do this at home? I mean, you're all the way in New Jersey, I'm here in California. If I need to have this work done, what's are the benefits? How can it change me, right? And then how can a person do it?
Okay.
Or
Well,
is there other people here doing it, you know?
yes. Well,
Okay.
first and foremost, what we're working on is what's called emotional reality, meaning an event may or may not happen. It may be true, it may not be true. It's the emotional charge that's associated with it.
Okay.
So just to get out of the mysticism of it. Now, the full experience of the entire NET protocol must be accomplished in person. There's certain things that are done that way. However, there's a number of things that go along with it that can be shared anywhere in the world. And this is how I got first into it. Someone from a distance was coaching me in like a mentor life coach kind of way. But through the knowledge of how the system of NET works, it uses the acupuncture meridian system. And there's the phenomena that every acupuncture system, which connects to a spinal segment and a gland or organ in the body, has a mental emotional states that associate with it. And so we can kind of, without saying it this way, hack the human body to find out what area is causing chaos right now. And that's part of the conversation part of coaching or mentorship over a distance, and using some of the catch-all components. It's called the FAST technique, where we don't laser focus. We kind of shotgun approach. We catch everything at once, versus laser focus, which has a greater impact on the brain and the nervous system, and therefore how someone's experiencing their life.
So you can do through long distance.
There is some, yes.
Okay, like via Zoom, is that how it works?
Well, yeah, there's Zoom or phone. I've done both with people. Sometimes Zoom isn't a good connection, and I can guide somebody through. Now, part of what allows me to do that with effectiveness is something else called KST. There's all these technique names, but these are insights into how the human body works, it integrates with the quantum, with the infinite. So there's this very practical, legal component of NET that we want to stay in a certain realm with. Though at the same time, kind of like the left brain and the right brain, there's all this other methodology that can help me pinpoint areas that are creating change to bring about improvement for somebody else as well. And that's the main thing that gave me those keys to that car, is something called KST, Korin Specific Technique.
Is there a way that you can show me on Zoom here, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
of course.
Can we do this?
In fact, this is.
I mean, however you want to, because people listening like myself never heard of this before, right, Kevin?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, can we do this via Zoom? Because nowadays, especially like in COVID, right? I mean, everything get locked down. We cannot meet other people in person. Even now, a lot of people still, of course, careful and not wanting to meet a lot of people in person. And to be on Zoom is a lot more safer for a lot of people. And of course, you're like way in the East Coast. How does it work? You show me, show us how you do it.
Yes, of course. Well, before I demonstrate, and Tina, I don't think you and I have ever done it, so I'll actually teach you how I teach other people, just the basic foundation. And it's kind of like, to me, it's a rite of passage in the sense of learning to breathe, learning to walk, eating food. This is something that's a natural, inherent ability of the human body. In the past, the most well-known examples of this are the pendulum. People use in different ways, up and down, left and right, for yeses and nos. And in native cultures, there's something called the dowsing rod. People use that to find water, or specifically hone in on certain energies. And every day, anybody who has children, whether a man or a woman, there's that concept of mother's intuition. There's that sense that something is right or wrong, something is on or off. And in the more current physics literature, there's more and more evidence supporting this phenomena, that we can get a yes and a no answer, the binary biofeedback. Yeah. And so if for those that are interested, like the Matrix, the movie series, we have the zeros and the ones.
Blue or red.
Blue or red, the on or the off. And that's part of a whole system, the yin and the yang. However, in that yin and the yang, there's that middle way. and there's a third component automatically, but that's another part of the conversation. But for those of us at home learning to do this, what we do in the techniques is we train our physical body to give us a response, just like a medical doctor would use a reflex hammer, or any chiropractor or physical therapist or anyone doing an orthopedic examination would take that reflex hammer, click it on your knee, and your knee would automatically kick out if the nervous system is working appropriately.
Right.
Right. So in the instance of the training, we were initially taught that as the doctor slides their hands down the back of the skull, if there's a negative response, the thumbs slide down evenly. And if there's a positive or affirmative response, one hand will slide down further, as if it got heavy with gravity.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So this is what's called the off the body method. And the reason that got developed, because the lighter the doctor's touch, the more accurate the response was noticed. So Tina, what we do is we first have to train our logical mind to believe that it's a possibility. And just like any dance routine, piano recital, we have to practice what a yes response is and what a no response is in how when we ask a question to the wisdom of somebody working with us. So the patient's body literally is the one directing me. I ask better and better quality questions to find out what to do, how to do it, and when to do it.
Okay.
Okay. With me so far?
I think I'm with you so far. Yes.
So an
Go
easy
on.
way, in simple terms, we have to train our physical body to get the answer from the etheric infinite body.
Got it.
And there's going to be a no signal and there's going to be a yes signal.
Okay.
All right. So if I'm going to teach someone how to do it, I'm going to practice just moving my hands like I'm holding a American football, and I'm going to rotate my wrists. And I'm just going to think the answer's no, the answer's no, the answer's no. And I'm going to train my body that the wrists come down and my thumbs, that's the actual line I'm measuring. That is no, because they come down equally. That's a no. They're equal. It's a neutral response. Neutral.
Okay.
And if I get a yes response, like, is there something I can help Tina with remotely? I get a yes answer. My hand just wants to go down.
All right.
It just falls. I just don't want to hold it up. But in the beginning, I had to train my body. This means yes. This means yes. So it starts as neutral, but it just continues to drop. This means yes. And there's other versions of this. There's finger rubs. There's the O-ring test. There's single finger kind of checks. There's all different ways in which any human can train their body to signal a yes and a no. It's just getting familiar with that.
Do you know, I actually went to this Chinese herbalist once, and he actually did something that what you just mentioned with biofeedbacks. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
And it works. It works.
It works all the time.
Works. Yeah. I did delve in question in the beginning, Kevin, that, how can it be? And I think it's because we were brought up that everything, we weren't brought up to believe our feelings or the gut or intuition, so it took a little bit for most people to really believe that this system does work. So go on. I didn't mean to.
The system is just a reflection of the intuitive nature of humankind. And my perception is that our education, our societies in general, around the world, in fact, are really focused on training the linear part of our brain, our thinking, our left brain, our analytical brain, our mathematical brain, where the intuition, the reflex response, these are all the creative, the feminine energy, the yin energies, the insights, the imagination, the intuition. These are all something that is essentially, in my opinion, being attempted to be weeded out. However, you can't. It's like there's a power of nature that's always going to be there and always going to resurge. And in my professional career, the last 20 years of people more people being familiar with Reiki, more people being familiar with
Yep.
reconnective healing and matrix energetics and all these other quantum methods, so to speak.
Well, just look at all the movies out there. You know, even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you don't see many of these movies that has to do with supernatural powers or, you know, witches or things like that. It just now it's like bombarding with all this kind of movie because people are really believing it now that they are real.
Yeah. And there is something very real about this. And at the same time, there's perhaps some things that are untruth about it, non-truth about it. And I believe there's some things that have been put into the consciousness that are detrimental about it. And the path of navigating and learning that is part of the ropes for everyone that is learning to tap into their intuitive levels of existence.
Right.
Yeah.
So follow up with what you just showing us earlier. You train your clients to learn to trust.
Trust that feedback from the authentic place. So one of the things that is required from this level of involvement is the authentic space. You really want to, my advice, both for your own karma and those working with you, is that you come from a pure place of the heart, wanting to help them and honoring them in that way. And then in that light, you'll have much more accuracy, much more improved results. And there's a dance there that is built with more and more trust through experience.
So, Kevin, so my next question is, what makes this technique, neuro-emotional technique, is that what you call it, different from other people biofeedback technique? Any difference?
Well, I believe it's the only one that has actual, like, really good scientific studies that are provable, repeatable, and there's more than 30 of them. They now have the first integrative medicine component of a medical college is using this technique as its foundation for its master's program. And this is in Jefferson University here in Philadelphia. And what makes it a little significantly different is we can prove that we're on the right assumption. Okay, so in my first endeavors of energy work and Reiki, I started to and I did a lot of reading of the shamanic world, and in those first few years, I would get images and sensations and insights, and I would go, well, I'm seeing this. What does it mean to you? And the patient would have no idea, and we would just be guessing. And I was just going to. I'm like, after a while, I started to find patterns of trust in myself in that insights, but it was always a guess. And the patients and clients, many times, it didn't make sense for them. Now with this protocol, I don't say anything. The client's own physiological response to their own statements, to their own movements, indicates whether we're on the right trail or we're not. And so it takes my assumption game out of place. However, with that being said, I do get much intuition, and then we can go check it. And it's never I'm never putting it on them. They're always delivering the information, and I always get to confirm it or say, well, you're close, but your body or the indicator test is not showing that that's the case. So then they get to hone in, and the power is we are unlocking the patterns of the physical brain that relate to the energy world that help create them in the first place. You
say we're unlocking the pattern.
Yeah.
Is that energetic pattern that at the subconscious level? Is that the pattern that we have gathered since we're young? I'm talking about either negative or positive pattern. Or this pattern that becomes our current disastrous habits.
Yeah. Well, have you seen, to explain that, have you seen something called, it's called cymatics? It's, they put a metal plate underneath on top of a speaker, and they sprinkle sand on it, and then they play a tone or a frequency, and that sand makes a shape.
I saw it before. Yeah.
So so our thoughts have unique tones and unique frequencies with them, and they produce different shapes and vibration. This is what the scientists who froze the water when monks were meditating love or hate on it, and it produced different shapes. And this is going on in each individual cell of our body based on the thoughts that we have. Now, when it comes to our subconscious, for example, the 1-year-old is mostly unconscious. I mean, maybe no words coming out yet. Maybe they're walking, they're moving, though they're sensing and feeling the people around them all the time.
Yeah. Up until about 8 years old, that's when they begin to use more of the conscious. But
correct.
Before 8 years old, it's all subconscious, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so even if we go back further in time, certain patients demonstrate the response that there's issues going on when they're in the womb, that there's issues, the energetic blueprint around them at the moment of conception.
And that's from the mother or the gene.
The mother and the father. Well, there's the gene, there's the physical, there's the sperm and the egg and all that. There's the physical DNA pattern that builds the structure, but there's also the energetic environment.
So we actually carry this energetic pattern, the impression from before we were born in the womb. Yeah. So we pretty much, most of us are already damaged in the womb.
Well, there's damage, but there's also greatness.
Of course, yes.
So this is one of the things I want to help. I always want to help correct or bring people a greater awareness. Is it's very easy to hone in on the negative. It's very easy. Absolutely, yeah. And yet, one of the phenomena of realization I've had recently is, can I accept the good qualities of myself? And it opens up to all these levels of interference around being great or being wonderful or being skilled or being lovable or kind, whatever.
And this is very hard for majority of people to embrace this greatness, the quality that we should embrace. You know, majority of people carry or just embrace a lot of negativities since young.
Yeah, so I call that, instead of using the word negative, I use the word charge. There's an energetic charge, right, versus being at balance or at peace or harmony. And this charge creates essentially chaos. So the chaos may be surrounding good things and bad things in our life. And so it's like, which way do we go? We're stuck. We don't know what to do at times. Stuck
is a good word for a lot of people nowadays, especially now, you know, with the time of COVID and, you know, what's going on now. There's a lot of this negative charge going on, and that's also coming from the childhood. So let's get back into neuro-emotional technique. I think this could be useful for a lot of people now, because a lot of people get really a lot of negative charge, right, Kevin?
Oh yeah.
Can you do this as a group, or like it has to be one-on-one?
Well, so in a traditional sense of what NET is, I'm going to say no. Okay. However, there's something called the FAST. It's the foundation. How do I say this? It's the children's version of it. Okay. It's for every person. It's for every adult. It's what they give away for free. Okay. So it's called First Aid Stress Tool. If anyone goes to firstaidstresstool.com, and you'll be able to get a 2-page PDF, and it demonstrates there's a video to click on. There's a little woman. There's an older instructor teaching a child how to do it, and in a group setting.
I think it's an excellent idea to actually start them young. Yeah. To start teaching your children to embrace this positive charge when they're little. Yeah, very, very important.
To me, it's about helping them have a tool with their own 2 hands that allows them to notice that they're having something that's out of too much charge. It could be over happy, like too much excitement, too much zest, or it could be, of course, the opposite side. And we want to give them a tool so they can bring themselves back into balance, so that they can navigate life in a coherent, harmonious way.
So this technique that you are explaining can be used on the little kids.
Yes.
At what age
Well,
that you can start doing this?
the youngest I've ever worked with was a friend's child of mine, and she was maybe like just 12 months, 16 months old.
Wow.
And
Okay.
all that we're doing is we're having one hand on the forehead, and then the other hand is reaching over top on the wrist and touching the wrist points where the acupuncture points are on the wrist.
Okay. Yeah.
So someone can look up, pulse points on the wrist, and you'll know exactly where to touch. And literally you're feeling the emotion, you're feeling the problem, and you touch here and you breathe.
So what was the response of that little girl when you did that?
Well, so when I showed the little girl how to do it, and I showed the mom, of course, how to do it. And I was only with them. They were friends of mine. So I was with them for an afternoon for like 2 hours. And they had a camping trip with like 60 family members the following weekend. After their camping trip, the mother called me. She wanted to tell me an amazing story. All the guys and many of the older adults were up late having a loud music and carrying on. And of course, mom's in the tent with the baby. And the baby was not going to sleep. The music was so loud. Everyone's carrying on. And she was really getting annoyed. And in a moment of upsetness, she looks back at the child, and the baby's fast asleep, but her hands like this and her other hands like that, just holding her own head. She did it by herself. Oh my God. It was so the mom, and she's now telling me the story. She's crying.
So you taught her once and she knew how to do it.
It's self-soothing. And I promise you, anyone who does it in an emotional upheaval, you will notice the shift from heightened, alarmed to just coming down incrementally every time you do it, more and more so.
Wow, Kevin, this is very exciting because I never heard all this from you. And to me, as a hypnotherapist myself, I always said to myself, if there is a way to really help little young children to start it off right, with their subconscious, that would be a perfect world when they grow up.
Right.
They'll be not just a better human, but also a whole person, healthy emotion, mind, and body. But because there's so many negative suggestions out there all over, for little kids. So this technique this is a real hope for humanity, Kevin.
It has exceeded my expectations more than I ever thought possible for my own health. And now people I've all connected with, and my daughter, she knows when I'm telling her something that she doesn't want to do, and I say, "I'll put your hand in your head." She knows I'm trying to help her be at peace with cleaning.
So that's the way for them to really release the stress.
Yes.
At young age, because oftentimes as we grow up, most parents are not aware that the kids will pick up stress from the parents. Their conversation and their physical, everything's affecting them. I remember when I was a little girl, how my parents' interaction with each other really, really caused me a lot of stress. And that's not just everybody.
It's every human, everybody.
Yeah. So by able to show the kid, like your little girls and your friend kids, to do all that, how to protect myself and really, really releasing stress, that's amazing, Kevin.
Yeah, it's
wow.
It's such a phenomenon. It's such an amazing thing. It's a natural inherent quality. That's what I want to relate. And we were given gifts to handle every scenario out there.
All right.
And we may be unaware of how to use the gift, but this is what, this is the benefit of all the science, all the research that has gone out. I think there's nefarious research and science going on, and there's benevolent research and science going on. And this is something that every human has to experience. We are born with things, and we're going to encounter things. It's, can we process those things? Can we navigate through it without getting thrown off into a rage or into a depression? And if we are on either end of that scale, can we bring ourselves out of it? And the answer is yes.
So what you just shown for the little kid, is that just one of many techniques that you've shown to your patients and clients?
Well, there's a number of things that I have as far as different techniques, though where I found my own desire is to get the sharpest tools in the shed. What's the most effective? What's the most reliable? What's the most simple? And there's a handful of things, the NET and specifically the FAST technique for the public version. And I want to comment, the full-on neuro-emotional technique, 15-step procedure is much more laser focused. We can accomplish a lot more when someone visits a practitioner. There's a significant amount that can be done. However, the at home, the wide, I call it the shotgun approach, the wide catch-all kind of approach is something phenomenal. The other thing, KST, I was just referring to, I call it becoming your own healer. I have a webinar workshop I've taught a handful of times. I was going to do it out in California, but it just didn't work out for me.
That's okay. Next time when you come in, let us know, because I'll be attending your workshop.
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah.
So what? Okay. The type of patient that comes to you, are they just emotional trauma, or has to do with the physical? This is just releasing stress. Is that what it is?
Well, this is okay. So it is releasing stress. And when we say just releasing stress, the question is, what can stress cause? That's a big answer.
Right.
So when we look at health and the conversation of why we get sick and how do we get well, there's really three main categories. There's that mental component. There's that physical component, muscles, bones, ligaments, tendons, that kind of stuff, organs. And then there's the biochemistry, the chemicals, the nutrients, the toxins, that. And so each area of those major zones, I have found methods that are reliable, predictable, and resilient. So I get clients that come for the mind. I get clients that come for posture correction and physical problems there. I get clients that come to me for, say, liver health, or they're not digesting correctly, or they're having bowel problems, or excessive acne on the face. That's a biochemistry problem.
Right.
Too much toxins or not enough nutrients, or some version of that.
What do you do with that? Because I know a lot of people have digestive problems. You use the same technique to help with this kind of problem, Kevin?
Well, okay, so I'll break it down. When it comes to the physical part, we have to be able to make and ensure that the nervous system from brain down the spinal cord to the body part that message is being sent and received clearly. That's the internal communication system.
Totally makes sense. Yes.
Right. Now, when it comes to the external communication system, that's the acupuncture meridians. That's the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is both playing with the internal system, the nervous system, and the external system, the meridian system.
Right.
However, that also plays out in the third realm. That's called the biofield, the aura, the chakras, all these fun things that are happening there. And it's just a mirror effect for the central nervous system, the physical body, the meridians, the biofield are all mirroring and reflecting upon one another.
Wow. Wow. I can totally visualize the whole thing you just said. Is totally resonate with me. Yes. Totally. Wow, that was a good one, Kevin.
Thank you.
And I do believe that that's how our body works when it comes to emotional health, mental health, and physical health. Everything's all interconnect, and it's a reflection of each other.
Yes. And this is why all these techniques work to some degree. We may need a Reiki level to shift something at that energy level, but that affects the physical because they're integrated. And
so, in order to heal fully, Kevin, really, I've noticed that we tend, even in the Western medical medicine, it's like we just fix one area, but we're multidimensional being. When we heal, it's got to come from all this aspect of ourselves: emotional, mental, and physical, and also the ethereal or bio.
Ethereal, yeah.
How you call it? Those all has to be healed together.
That's right. And so it becomes really interesting, because being cured this is Alberto Villado. I'm gonna paraphrase, but being cured versus being healed are two different things.
Okay.
One can still be quote unquote ill, but be healed. Meaning their mental, emotional body is in a better place, but their physical body has to catch up.
Right.
One of my earliest introductions to this thinking was working with patients at the end of their life. In the Reiki realm, I started to do, this is 10, 15 years ago now, I would help people say that were at that hospice level. They were last couple of weeks of their life, they were deteriorating. And what I noticed, the healing that I was able to provide them was not that they were going to live longer, that they ended their life in peace.
Beautiful. Yes.
That's the difference between cured and healed.
That's actually huge, for people who are ending and really have peace living, and peace to themselves and also to the family as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And also ending life is not really ending, really. Yeah. Wow.
Well, Tina, tell me, Tina, because I have my thoughts on this, but the energy in which we go out carries over to some degree to how we begin the next chapter.
Right. Now, I believe that because the energy does not die, does not end, energy transforms.
That's right. That's right.
So when we leave here, it transforms into a different thing, whatever it is, But that's another subject we're going to talk about later on, because I'm sure you're going to come back more often now and talk about all this different type of healing, because it's so fascinating. We haven't talked for a long time, right. And we never talk about this. And I'm like, right now, this moment, I'm like, my God, Kevin, you can help so many people, especially, I don't have kids myself, but I feel like everything starts from a childhood. And if you can offer this technique, to all the parents to start their children off early, it's even better than education at private school they spend a lot of money on, but because you spend it on strengthening the kids' emotional, mental strength, and that's therefore their physical strength is also improved or better or strong, Yeah. So that's profound. That's really, wow. So going back to that neuro-emotional, technique, you said there's 15 steps.
That's right.
Okay. Is something you can share on this talk today? Is it too much?
Well, it's a bit much. However,
okay.
The simple part is this. If someone there's two ways to get started. There's a physical problem someone can contact, and we can get a positive indication through this. It's a version of what's called applied kinesiology. And then there's also the way in through a mental stressor. So if I just got off the phone and I had a rough conversation, I could simply be thinking about that conversation, and the practitioner test me, and we'll be able to find that that's a stressor. And then from that stressor, we want to begin to identify what meridian is it most active in, and then what's the topic that it is most concerned with. And then once we identify that, then we look for what's called the original event. And the original event is where that happens between conception and 10, somewhere in that window of 10, 11 years of being, becoming to know what it is to be human. What environment am I in? How am I to respond? So that's the nurture component of life. Our parents' habits, our life, and the house we grew up in, the town we grew up in, the country that we grew up in. All these things give us a nuance to who we are and how we play out in this world. I used to tell people, if I was adopted in Ireland, well, I'd have an Irish accent, but I was born in New Jersey, so I have a South Jersey accent. I wasn't born with that accent. It was a nurturing component. It was me learning to be adaptive in my own environment. So, but there's certain things, for example, my athletic abilities, I probably would be born with that, regardless of where I grew up. So these kind of features. So when we find that original event, then we can hone in on the nervous system's perception of the environment at hand, and if it was chaotic or if it was congruent. And if it's chaotic, well, we found the answer, and the body has the way to indicate that we are on the right track to handle what's stressing us today, but also the pattern in our brain that makes us stressed about today that came from the beginning.
I do believe that the nervous system, when it's been damaged for a long time, for a long period, really cause a lot of physical illness. So
I want to call it conditioned.
yeah.
Conditioned. So Pavlov's dog is the famous analogy.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman brought out the food and it rang the bell, and brought the food and rang the bell, and brought the food and rang the bell. So anytime in the future he rang the bell, the dog was believed the food was coming and salivating. So we can do that with each other. So every day when I pick up my daughter on Friday, I bring a juice box and a snack. And every Friday I brought a juice box and a snack. And the one Friday I didn't bring a juice box and a snack, my daughter got upset. Where's my juice box and a snack? She expected it.
Yeah, conditioning. You're right about that. Exactly.
We witnessed conditioning over the last 2 years, 2.5, maybe even longer years, about health protocols that when we actually look at factual information are detrimental to our physical health. But many of us still believe that is a healthy activity. Finding a common example, eating margarine, the butter substitute. That was marketed so heavily in like the 80s.
Oh my God, the 80s. Yes. It's like supposed to be good for your health and all this stuff. But I think now they found out you shouldn't be eating that.
Right.
Better butter.
It's essentially it's like one molecule from being a plastic entity in our body. Right. So it just created all kinds of health problems. And that's a fun one to talk about. However, it's a real thing. We condition ourselves towards fitness. We condition ourselves towards eating well. We condition ourselves towards happiness or otherwise.
Right.
And that's the way the human body is. It's the way the human mind is. This is the natural default. So if we don't know that, though, it's easy to get trapped into a bad habit or a detrimental habit of some variety.
Mm-hmm. So Kevin, what you have mostly groups of clients who's in a physical pain or problem come to you for this technique, or more of the emotional, mental type of clients or patients? Yeah.
Well, at this point, most people coming to me have found out that I do integrative health. So this is where I use Chinese and Ayurvedic and American, South and Northern continent herbs, phytotherapeutics, minerals, and I match them with their genetic needs. And that's called the Leibowitz protocols. That's how we help the biochemistry component of that digestive problem. Then the Neuro-Emotional Technique, as well as a technology that I have here, we help the subconscious and the conscious mind, the mental realm. And then the physical corrections from the chiropractic and posture correction work that I do brings the nervous system and the physical body into alignment. Just like a car, if the axles are bent, the tires will be wobbling, the gas mileage will go down. It's just harder to exist and function. So we work on the physical, we work on the mental, we work on the gasoline, the chemistry, so to speak. And in turn, the field changes. And also we have information coming from the outside in that helps us grow as well. There's this dynamic in and out approach that goes on.
Wow. This is the right thing in medical field that should be doing when it comes to healing. We need to integrate East and the West. The Western medicine and the Eastern medicine. There's no right and wrong, but you can't just not use just one field. I mean, in Western world, we do mainly a lot of Western medicine and ignoring the Eastern side. But in the past 10 years, there's been more and more acceptable chiropractor work. For the longest time, it's never been accepted by the Western medicine. I remember that. Correct.
Well, and there's a very, very, very specific reason for that.
Right.
And that began to be solved in the 70s with the Supreme Court cases, where it was proven, 100% proven, that there is an organization attempting to defame homeopathy, acupuncture, anything holistic, chiropractic on the list, of course. And it's called the Wilkes trial against the AMA, the American Medical Association. There is a steep tradition in harming all things holistic around the world. Yes.
I never knew that. So that's good that you share that part. I never knew that. But I have noticed that it has been like pushed away. But I've noticed that now more and more people are accepting the holistic, what I call it holistic, but the Eastern type medicine, you know.
Yes.
I feel we need both, you know, because let's say it, like myself, you know, when I got COVID a couple of years ago, I almost died. Yes, I was in the emergency. I had to use a strong Western medication to save my life. It's to save my life. You get a cut, you need all that stuff. Broken bone, you need that. However, now I'm like taking all these natural supplements. You know, I get massage. I mean, it's just to maintain, because you know, taking antibiotics really ruined me. It ruined my body for like a whole year. Because it wipes out all good bacteria. So anyway, back to your work here.
Well, Tina, you know, I want to share. I want to pause right there, because that's the most important thing you just said, because what you're talking about is the fire department approach. We need the fire department to come save the life of a house if there's a fire going on.
Good analogy.
So when there's a crazy accident, when there's been, maybe someone was unconscious asleep, so to speak, and there's years of neglect, that is a case to be stated for the Western system. It saves lives, period. We know it does. However, I can avoid much of the damages. I can make myself more robust. I can be more resilient, more adaptable, a higher functioning human being if I focus on these quote unquote holistic side of things. And that's just the study. And so right now, where we are as a society is, well, how do we really implement the holistic side, the alternative side, the natural side? Because we are nature. How do we actually do that in a way that's constructive? And there's a lot of nuance to that game, because some people are honest, have integrity.
Insurance, pharmacy, you know, because they make a lot more money, just pops the pills, right? Producing in a mass quantity for just a fraction of cost.
That's right.
Wow. So, I mean, I really believe that we are moving into that direction. And to hear someone like you who's practicing Western, you know, healing type and integrating all this Ayurvedic or Chinese herbalist and all that, I think it's amazing. So what else would you like to share about? Because we were going to show how we can do it on Zoom here. Is there something that you can like share with us? You know, maybe one or two techniques that we can unwind the stress, or like, what would you just share one for the children? So for the parents out there, try that on your kids. So
okay.
Kevin, go ahead.
So I'll use you as my client, Tina. Okay.
Please do.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is put both your feet on the ground.
Okay.
And so we're not going to swivel too much with our chair. All right. And everyone at home, we're going to watch Tina turn her head left and turn her head right. And we're going to attempt to observe which way is most easy to turn and which way is most difficult to turn. And Tina, what you're going to do is you're going to feel your neck and feel what's going on. And you're going to just confirm to you which way feels more stiff and which way feels more at ease when you turn left versus right. So just take like a second or two, turn one way.
So when I turn my neck only?
Just your neck only. And you're going to compare one side to the other, and you're going to see which one flows easier and which one has discomfort.
Okay. Should I do it now?
Perfect. Go right ahead. And we'll see how far she can turn. Look at her nose and her ears and see how at ease or how much resistance there is. And once you compare this last one, come back to the middle and just report what you felt as. So everyone at home, make your guess. I have my guess. I'm going to say, Tina, to me, it looked like when you were turning to your left, which is that way on the camera for me. Yeah, that way. That to me looked most restricted.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So now what we're going to do is I'm going to have you just maintain neutral, and you're going to lean left and compare to lean right, and which way feels more comfortable, just to lean your whole body.
Okay.
Just a little bit of a lean.
Okay.
Which one feels most comfortable for your whole body when you lean a little bit left or a little bit right? Just a little bit more subtle, just a little bit, like an inch.
Okay. Got it.
Which way felt easier? Which way brought you to
Let me try one more time.
It should feel more comfortable, even just to move a half an inch, just a little bit. She's really into the bend there, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which way feels easier? Which one brings peace to you?
This side.
I can't see which way you're pointing.
Left.
Okay, so left. Okay, so then we're going to use left as our primary direction. And our goal, our aim is to help your neck when you turn left to feel more comfortable. That's our aim. Okay. And so now we've identified a direction in which your body feels at ease. And so what I'm going to have you do is now go left and forward and compare it to left and backward. Which one feels better and more comfortable?
Okay, let me try.
Left forward or left backward?
Like this?
Yep.
I think forward is easier.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to lean a little bit left, a little bit forward, and then just close your eyes and breathe in and out 3 times. Let your body relax. Find the most comfortable forward left position. Breathe in and out 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And if you feel like you've gotten a change, like even more calm, then sit back to neutral. Bring that new sensation with you. And then when you've grounded or centered yourself, go ahead and open your eyes. All right, good. Now we're going to do the test again, where we turn left and turn right. And everyone at home is going to observe you turning left and see if that looks different or better. And you're going to give us a report about what you notice when you turn left. Easier, harder, or the same?
Slightly better.
Slightly better. So
Slightly.
just by exactly. So just by leaning you, and this is the very beginner, just to give you the introduction of how it can work, but just leaning you forward, leaning you left, breathing 3 times in and out, you brought yourself back to center. You reported your neck feels slightly better.
Slightly, yes.
Yeah. So if we repeated that, we'd find that new center point, find that place of peace or the place of least resistance, and then we tested your neck again. I'm willing to bet it would be even better.
So just by repeating, going like this.
But we have to find it. We have to find that peaceful point again. So it may be the same zone, but it may shift to the right side or back. Now, when we get into an advanced session, I mean, I have people with their arms in different positions and their heads all tilted and they're leaning in different ways because, well, we sleep in funny positions. We've been injured in funny positions. And this is a way to use our biofield with our physical body, because we find the place in which our physical posture is at silence. And then through the breath, it unlocks the physical body, aligning it to then allow increased function to be restored.
How often should I repeat, or your client, I mean, your patient should repeat this session?
Well, you can, at this point, daily, multiple times a day are completely acceptable. I've spent an hour or 2 at a time going through things of unlocking an old injury, because we are
so you can unlock old injuries.
Yes. This is what it's all about, unlocking old injuries so that you can align the mind, body, spirit, and soul, so that you can harmonize better in life.
Okay, Kevin, I got one good question for you, because besides being a hypnotherapist, I don't know if you know, I'm a neuromuscular therapist as well. You know,
You mentioned
it's advanced form of, technique of massage, but it's very painful. I go into a trigger point. That's why when you mentioned about the trigger points area, meridian, I got all that. have a lot of clients came to me with pain because of all of their soft tissues are very tight. A lot of them are into sports, some when they're young or when they have accident. I would assume this technique will help them as well, correct?
Yeah, it's a self-guided technique, and it can be done as a client-patient kind of relationship. Though, yes, the issues are in the tissues, and there's a mind component, there's a physical component, and there's going to be a chemistry component all there.
You know, something just came to me just quick because everything's all related, right? Everything's all integrated. So, like a lot of us, sometimes we don't even have to work out. I mean, just feeling stress, and most of us are stressed for a long time. So the stress really tighten up the whole soft tissue.
Yes.
So by doing this technique, it really makes you relax, just like people doing yoga as well.
Right.
But a lot of elder people, they cannot do yoga. It's their limitation in their physical, injuries or illness. So your technique actually is more gentler for elders with limited body capacity to be able to do it and help themselves.
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow,
what we were just doing is called center point meditation. And for those of you that are interested in all these techniques I've said, my website has all this. There's links to, you can take coursework you can become trained in this for yourself or become a practitioner.
So you train people to be practitioner.
I am going to be the first class of instructors of this method. Yes.
Okay. When are you going to have next class?
It's coming up very soon. We're working out those details right now, though. People can go on and take the webinar modules and become much more proficient and learn it's called the center point therapeutics. There's a touch component where you move the tissue, and then there's a leaning component where we align our biofield with our physical body to unlock the mind.
Years ago when we used to have a lot of that EFT tapping.
Yes.
Is it something close to that, similar to that? Or what's the difference between that? What you're offering?
The Neuro-Emotional Technique uses the same exact system and the same phenomena that EFT uses, however, has a clinically verifiable methodology to get right to the point versus tapping through all the meridians and using all the phrases. And EFT is a beautiful thing. Let's be very clear. It's an amazing tool I've used so many times. And yet this just takes it to the next level, NET. The center point method, it brings in physical structure, it brings in the mental, emotional, brings in the biofield. It is about aligning all of them. And it's a form of meditation. It's almost like a moving meditation, but through these subtle alignments of different physical body parts that when we accomplish it, brings that meditative state on in less than a minute, in less than 30 seconds. And we're in the process of measuring the physiology now. We are repeating trials, repeating studies, though we can see the meditative state being activated and people get into a much calmer state of mind, which is just good for everyone involved in someone's life.
That's also kind of remind me of this, the ancient Chinese Tai Chi, that they use this technique to do in the morning to really loosen up their mind, their emotion, and also their body.
Yeah.
Any difference with that? Are you familiar with the Tai Chi at all?
I am familiar with Tai Chi and Qigong. Not by any means a master, by any means. As I see it, the hand positions are related to different access points within our biofield, and that accesses different states of mind. Strengthening, resilience, whatever that may be. Movement is very good.
Right.
A lot of our karmic energies and a lot of the energies that get formed from emotional turmoil gets contained in our biofield. It's like a memory bank, right. and in our physical tissues. So I see all these movements as moving energy, creating flow. Stagnant energy, stuck energy is where destruction happens. So we want that flow. So Tai Chi and Qigong are the physical body. We are moving the physical body to move these non-physical energies.
Right.
I see center point along that same line, but the focus is on the spine, the nervous system, and the extreme edge of that, the field.
Which is very important. Yeah.
I almost, oh wow, now I'm thinking about, because I have yet to think about this, Tina, is doing different Tai Chi positions will access different energies, which will access different components of these techniques. That's how I see it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's like, it's almost like, it's like martial arts, because each martial arts has a unique ability, a unique skill set, but there's a wholeness system, but there's also success in that. So that's why people study multiple techniques, because they fill in the gaps of other things that are going on.
Exactly. Exactly. That would make sense so much. Wow. So when you offer the class or even just work on a client, I mean, you can do it through Zoom. Is that what it is? Because now I mean, I mentioned that earlier about the distance.
Yes.
Can that be done?
Yes. So on Zoom, we go through a combination of the center point. So it's like a moving dance session meets the Neuro-Emotional Technique, the FAST technique protocol meets lifestyle mentorship. There's other bodies of work that I incorporate to help people learn who they are.
Right.
We do have a collection of knowledge when coupled together, that is the how to operate the human body. And every human body is a different wrinkle, because of the energies that we are imprinted with at the time of our birth, plus what we come in with. And this is where these esoteric sciences and studies come in, from astrology and the I Ching and gene keys and just all these other things that give us our blueprint. But then we have to navigate the waters that we're given through the experiences that we bring about.
Wow. It's interesting you just brought up astrology, because, as we talk about, more and more people now are beginning to open up to the other side of healing, esoteric, like Reiki healing, energy healing, even astrology, because astrology can be quite healing as well. You see your blueprint. I even know some therapists using astrology of the person to heal a person, because in astrology chart, it tells you. I'm going to share with astrology here for those who don't believe. Before I got COVID, I just got this like computerized astrology reading. It's a solar return. Just curious. And in one area, it said, this year in 2020, you may come across some kind of illness that's hard to figure out how to heal, and it's going to be a problem with your digestive problem in your stomach. I was like, that's impossible. I'm very healthy. I did CrossFit 5 days a week. I'm pretty fit. I rarely got sick in my life. Oh, and when I got that, I was in bed, and I remember that astrology printout that I got. So if we know ahead of time, I can even prepare myself to eat better. Even though I worked out, I never ate good. I can prevent. I can take care of my body better. So yes, definitely all this. When you talk about integration and how your work integrate all this aspect of healing, it's very fascinating, Kevin. So when are you going to be offering the classes or training?
Well,
I'm sure a lot of people who listen would be like, wow, this is, before we talk, I had no idea what it's about. The more that you delve into explaining it, I mean, my brain just saw all these images, and I go, wow, this is, especially when you brought up a little kids, because I think that's where you start healing. I mean, or prepping them, the children, teaching the parents and the mom how to show them how to do that. I think that is so, so, so important.
Well, that's what we call the unwinding stress.
Right?
It's unwinding stress.
Really?
And so,
like, okay, what is he gonna show unwinding stress? Because it just sounds so like common to me. I'm like, what is Kevin's gonna talk about unwinding stress? Like, okay, everybody talk about that already. Right? But this is actually a fascinating one. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So unwinding stress is essentially the conversation of each of these 4 areas: the mind, the body, the spirit, the soul.
Mind, body, and soul. Look at my sign here.
It's right there. Exactly.
Yes.
And in that, there's different techniques and methods and things to be concerned with. And it's a lot of information, but this has been my journey, my profession, my work. It is my calling. It just is. And I have maybe kicked and screamed at the universe about some of that sometimes, but here we are.
Don't we all, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes. And so, as far as helping people, there's of course I'm about to launch the Wednesday night classes where people can join in person or in Zoom. It's a couple dollars, and I just help them learn some of these foundational things: the CPM movement, the basic movements, the fast technique, and the what's called Become Your Own Healer, which is that technique with the hands, where we learn to find what point, when, where, and how. So, giving you tools. Once the tools are comfortable, then we can really go into like the details and the data and the anatomy. But that's the complicated part of it all the parts. There's a simple intuition to it. And we'll go into more on that on the Wednesday night classes. People can, of course, go online to the modules. Much of this work is pre-recorded, and there's classes and webinars and things to take at your own leisure. And if you're in New Jersey or anywhere in the world, I have clients all over the world. They reach out, we schedule one-on-one. And if there's a need for more group time, that's something I'm open to doing. Though keeping my schedule balanced with family life, home life is one of my paths I have to learn. I have all these gifts on my chart of astrology about work and information around this type of topic. Yet my path is how to balance that.
Oh my God, yes. A lot of people have that either work or either just relationship. It's extreme in one side, but
yeah.
I mean, it would be a perfect world, perfect life to have balance in all aspects of our life, isn't it?
Well, which I think, and this is part of my working theory, is what our path of being alive is about, is to bring that balance and to find that path. Yeah,
I think a lot of people now are beginning to actually learn more or awaken and have this awareness of balancing our life better.
Well,
wow.
you mentioned Aquarius right at the beginning, and what Aquarius in summary is all about is the inner vibe.
Yeah.
And we attract what we inner vibe with. So if there's something in life that is unpleasant, well, there's a reason for it, and the universe, God, divine is giving you the clues to help you wake up. And sometimes we have to get past our own beliefs and our perceptions of how we've been conditioned to perceive a situation. And this is where that conversation of being grateful for everything that shows up and knowing that I want everyone to know this, there's perfection in every moment. And if we're not seeing that perfection, well, there's your work.
There you go. Well, Kevin, I mean, this is an amazing session, you guys, I'm going to put his contact, his website underneath the YouTube description here, so you can get a hold of Kevin, Dr. How do you pronounce your last name again? Kevin, I never know how to pronounce your last name. I always call you Kevin. Gyurina.
Well, I want to welcome you to the club of every other human in the world. However, thank you. It is Dr. Kevin Gyurina.
Great. And he's in New Jersey. Yes. So anyway, go to his website, check it out. I'm going to check out. You let me know about your classes if you come over here, because you were supposed to be here and I was supposed to attend your workshop. So you owe me on that one. So anyway, guys, any last advice or last word that you would like to share with the listeners, Kevin? Anything you want to share before we part?
Yes, the answer is within.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice, wonderful time. And thank you. And of course, you'd come back again, right?
Absolutely. It was such a delight coming here. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everybody, for watching all the way through. This is such a pleasure. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching this channel. And before you get off this channel, please subscribe, click like, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Kevin.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.